And the next voice you hear after this little bit of music will be that of SOTU. Thank you, Josh. Here we go.
You know that we are speaking the truth in these dynamics. That in fact the reflection of the consensus reality is only a reflection of all of those choices that you have chosen not to make.
You were talking about that some yesterday, that those, whereas we give our power to others, or, well, I think it was yesterday, by not making certain choices.
It was yesterday, but right, by you
but
know.
That the people can't, the others can't use our power, so those choices just go off into the ethers.
Yeah, but the problem is that all of those shards of creation eventually join together in a reflection of belief. In other words, if you give up your power to your government because they say that you are about to be struck down with a virus or something like that, and you are in great danger, so you must all hide. You have just given up all your power to your government as you acquiesce and you go hide. In fact, the situation is, in the sense of disease, that you each have a certain dynamic of a natural immunity sort of built in, and there's really not any singular virus that is manifest here on the earth, even though people may screw with it. That virus, humans may screw with that virus in any sorts of way. There is no natural virus that can be developed on your mother, on the source, that is going to wipe out your whole civilization. That's not the purpose. The purpose around consciousness, around having physicality, around having planets, about having star systems, about having species, human and others, is dynamics for growth, is dynamics for movements, is dynamics for becoming more. And so as you realize that that's a journey you will not escape from because it is one that you have chosen.
So we could even have input on the choice of whether or not things are going to be very challenging here this week with and after the election.
Why? Are you that all-powerful?
Well, there's a question here where our power begins and ends.
It begins and ends with you, and it affects nothing more except you.
So simply by making choices and not giving that power over
it's
to...
It's not simple.
Well, no, it isn't simple.
Well, then you perhaps should not use the adverb simply.
All right. By becoming more and more conscious and aware.
That's what it's about. It's about consciousness. It's about awareness. But it's also about being able to read the reflections of your reality. Because even though you are personally creating your own reality, you each have certain belief systems that resonate with the dynamics of the reflections of the consensus. We realize this is a little complex, but we're trying to show you how the realities, the dynamics of reality are such that they will teach you basically what you need to know. We'll give you the availability of the circumstances necessary for you to have the experiences that you have chosen to have in this lifetime. And if you realize that that's what's occurring 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if you wonder why you keep facing certain dynamics of emotion, certain dynamics of energy, it is because you have not dealt with them honestly within yourself.
Right. It's going to keep coming around until we deal with it, because between lifetimes we chose that to be something we wanted to deal with.
It depends on what kind of imperative you put on it as well.
And
because you often will, what shall we say, overly strive for enlightenment, for consciousness. And so instead of, one of the things that we really like to say a lot is just because you're dead doesn't necessarily mean you were any smarter than you were when you were alive. So you will, when you are not physical, you live within the dynamic of an emotional sea of love. And there is not that dynamic of the reflection of giving your power over, or there is not a reflection of a consensus reality. There is a reflection of a divine consciousness, but it is not a reflection of a consensus reality. So the reality that is reflecting to you while you are physical, while you are incarnate, is very different, is energetically very different than the consensus or the belief, the knowing that exists on the other side. And so this is the human experience. The experience of incarnation is fully intended to have you grow to the point where you can begin to have that level of awareness, that level of consciousness here in the physical reality. But in order to do that, your levels of discernment, your levels of awareness have to be much more highly developed than they are right now. Then the reason they are not developed right now is not because you do not have the ability. It's that because you have been allowing your reality much more than actively creating it.
Right.